I have with me today Ziv Katzir, who for the last 3.5 years has been serving as the head of the Artificial Intelligence National Program for the Israel Innovation Authority. Before that, he worked for many years in the private sector until deciding to go back to school, get a PhD, and take over what seems to be the AI revolution. Welcome back to the ILTV News Podcast. I'm Maayan Hoffman, Executive Editor, and I'm happy to have you here as our viewers and our listeners. And thank you to you, Ziv.
Thank you, Maayan.
So I want to get started by sort of setting the stage. Give me a quick overview of AI and Gen AI. How has it evolved in recent years? I mentioned this revolution. What are we really talking about?
So I think, if you and I were to meet 2 years ago and talk about AI, we would probably talk about what's called narrow AI. So the AI algorithm that are tasked to do a specific thing, a specific mission. I don't know, analyze images, analyze audio, text for a specific domain. And what we have seen in the last 2 years is the evolution of Gen AI, the foundation models, which are now kind of infrastructure for anything else. So we see those large, complicated, sophisticated models that can now be tailored to different tasks very easily. So that's what we've seen in the last 2 years.
And that evolution is obviously fed into what is the National Artificial Intelligence Program. Tell me what that program is and what you do on a day-to-day basis.
By the end of the day, the program is a cross-cutting effort going all through the different agencies and ministries in the Israel government, trying to maintain Israel's leadership as an AI power horse.
Are we leaders?
Of course we are. Consistently ranked in the top 5 or top 10 countries, obviously after the US, but very well placed. And our goal is to maintain this leadership. That's what we do, taking into account all relevant aspects, basically.
So if you did have to compare us, let's say, to the United States, to Europe, when it comes to artificial intelligence, where do we rank?
So ranking is always a tricky part. US is without a doubt the leader of AI today when it comes to all aspects, compute, talent, invested money, and so on and so forth. Second is typically China, which we don't know. People don't talk about it so much, but China is typically the second one. And then you see countries like UK, Canada, Israel, Singapore, Japan. And so that's kind of the leading, 5 to 10 countries.
And the U.S. and China are not really working together, obviously, in any capacity, despite them both being so robust in their AI efforts. Is that right?
They're both very robust. Both invest enormous amounts of money, talent, infrastructure, anything else. But I think we should keep in mind that in AI, borders are not very clear. The science behind it is public. So once something becomes published, either academic publication or even a private sector publication, it's much easier to copy and to do the same thing.
Well, and I understand that's also where Israel will sort of be heading, which is the applied AI, being able to take some of what is developed in other countries and be able to apply it, which is where the money will maybe be. But you tell me, what is Israel's strategy for the next 5 to 10 years when it comes to AI?
Except when we started this road, it was approximately 3 years back, and we asked ourselves, okay, what are the strength points and what are the things that we need to make stronger, right? Obviously, Israel is gifted with a lot of wonderful talent, and that's a wonderful strength point for us. And also, we are very good in doing cross-disciplinary, multidisciplinary connections. So that's kind of things we do great. The thing that we typically don't do as good is investing long-term infrastructure. And so that's where we started. So guys, we need even more talent. We need compute. We need data to be available for research and for companies. And we need to solve all the legal issues around this complexities of data. We need to strengthen the way the Israeli government itself uses AI in favor of the citizens. We need to remove barriers in industry sectors that are more complicated to do. Think, education, healthcare, right? There is strong regulation there for a good reason, but it's a barrier for startups to come. So here's something we need to do.
Is the government actually supporting AI startups and research institutions at this stage?
Of course. But the government supports AI startups because they are startups. There is a wide policy for Israel to support startups at early age, more mature startups, and until the point they grow to be growth companies.
So how does that support look?
So the Israel Innovation Authority, for once, invests approximately 2 billion shekels a year in the high-tech sector. And you can say that, let's say, 30 to 40% of that is associated with AI startups. So,
would that be consistent with other countries of our size or other leaders in the AI industry?
So, typically, or for many years, Israel is leading in the amount of R&D done in Israel as part of the GDP and many other things. So, and the support mechanisms that are provided by the Israeli government are very, let's say, advanced. We compare ourselves to different agencies in different countries, and our ability to really, interact with the market, identify the needs, and resolve those needs is considerably better.
Amazing. So what policies or incentives have been put in place to attract global AI companies and talent or investments here in the country?
Okay, so talent is really, let's say, it's a tricky part. It's the hardest problem for any country to solve in AI.
Okay.
And for us in Israel, it's even, I think, we need to do kind of a mental shift. Mm-hmm. We were used to have tons of talent.
We don't have tons of talent now?
We do, but not enough. Not enough.
There's never enough, right?
There's never enough. That's the point, right? We were used to the point where bachelor degree graduates or people coming out of the IDF from technological units with the IDF are becoming wonderful computer engineers, software engineers, hardware engineers, 2-3 years of hands-on experience, and then you're good to go. Mm-hmm. And now with AI, what you need is experts that are going through master's, PhD, plus those 3 years of hands-on experience. Mm-hmm. Now, the entire journey takes, 12 years, 10 to 12 years, and there are no shortcuts. And that's a point. And so now all countries around the world kind of, race to get the lion's share of this very limited talent pool, the global talent pool. And we are in the same place.
So what are we doing to attract them? How are we sort of succeeding in getting these people to come to Israel?
Well, I hope we can succeed more, but we're doing a good job, okay? Mm-hmm. First and foremost, there are 9,000 different high-tech companies in Israel, and those are very diversified. Mm-hmm. And this, exciting, dynamic, high-tech ecosystem is within itself attracting talent. Second thing is that we are investing in proactive policies to increase this talent pool. We just launched a program to actually attract foreign talent, whether those being returning Israelis or Jewish people coming from other countries, or simply talented people from other nationalities coming to Israel. So it was just launched, but we have very high hopes for that. Mm-hmm. We have an additional program for increasing the number of AI experts within the IDF itself. So combining advanced academic degrees within the military service. We've got a third program for taking researchers in different domains, say, chemistry, biology, and kind of retraining them to become AI experts within their own domain. Wow. And that's an interesting point, right? Because AI is not a thing. AI is a toolbox.
AI is like in every industry, right?
Right. But the true value, economically or socially, is going to come when you take domain expertise and combine that with AI expertise. So if you take, let's say, biologists, and you retrain them to become data scientists, now you have this wonderful potential coming to mature.
And people can do that? They can make the leap from biology to data science?
It's not trivial, but it's, let's say, in a way, it's much easier than taking a computer science bachelor degree graduate, because AI, at its core, it's a research-oriented discipline, right? Okay. You make a hypothesis, you construct an experiment, then you get a result, you check this result, and you go back and forth, right? Mm-hmm. Very different from the way you develop software. So to this extent, if you get a PhD in biology or chemistry, you're probably much more suitable to become an AI expert than if you get your bachelor degree in computer science.
So fascinating. Now, I do want to take us sort of in another direction for a minute and talk about what we could call the white elephant in the room, China's DeepSeek. Is that a real game changer or a hoax? Talk a little bit about it.
My personal view is that it's not so much a big deal, right?
Okay.
But we should break it into components. Technologically, there's plenty of hype. Truth is that it's a marginal step forward compared to previous thing we've seen. Okay. Economically, right? We've seen the Nvidia stock plumbing. What was it? 70% in a single day. That I think indicates more to the mental stability of the stock markets than to anything else. And as an evidence, much of this stock price came up in the last 2-3 weeks. So, it returned basically to the same point. The most interesting part is that they released their model as an open source model. Mm-hmm. So now you and I can take the model.
Well, maybe you. Probably not. Yes.
And kind of fine-tune it to do something that we wanted to do. So we can leverage this effort and go forward from there. And this is a very, very interesting dynamic.
Yeah, that is very interesting. I mean, and I guess that kind of goes back to this whole idea of applied AI as well, that you can take that model, it's now open source, you can leverage what they've created in order to use it to do something else.
Right. And so, to be frank, like we've seen open source models coming in the last, 18 months, but this time it's a much better model coming. Okay. And it touches the, let's say, the business model of the large AI giants, okay? They are losing tens of billions of dollars a year right now. Under the promise that AI will become commodity and we'll use it all the time for all purposes, and now you have your business model. But what if the core of this thing becomes open source? It's not going to be as good as, but it's going to be fairly good, and it's open source and it's free. So what does it do to the business models? And our tech, which is very suitable for Israel, is that you take this commodity model, you bring in domain expertise and cross-disciplinary connectivity, and then you've got a unique value, right?
It's fascinating.
For instance, two examples, to make it more tangible, right?
Yeah.
If you take a generic model, then you train it on images of, trees and fruit and leaves, you can create a digital agronomist. Okay, the original model was not very good at agronomy, but when you take your unique knowledge and you take your unique data set and you fine-tune, now you've got a true value coming out of it. Similarly, take skeleton imagery for healthcare, right?
Yeah.
Same goes, right? You take a bunch of orthopedic doctors plus, AI experts plus a base model. You do this little magic and hey, you've got a medical imaging processor that is automated and much cheaper, right?
Oh, it's incredible. I mean, and talk a little bit about that. I mean, how AI is going to transform so many different industries, cyber, healthcare, agriculture. Give me a few more examples of where we're really seeing this take shape.
So when you're going to look at it, basically, what we as people do, right? We process audio, we process vision, and we communicate through text. I think that kind of covers...
Well, we have 5 senses.
Yeah, but basically that covers a lot of the way we interact, right?
Uh-huh.
So now machine learning or AI can do wonders with image, stills, or video. It can do wonders with audio. It can do wonders with text. Okay, so now you've got text in education. You've got text, in law practice. You've got text in finance. You've got text in the way you do academic research. You've got text all over the place.
Right.
With images, I've provided 2 examples, but you have also, images of breaches. When you want to have identify construction failures, that's images again, okay? If you want to do, urban planning, yeah, that's wonderful. If you want to do defense, yeah, images are wonderful. So you got a generic toolbox that kind of, goes through those infinite different industries.
And you think that this will still allow for humans to have work, or you think they're going to have to everyone's going to have to be retrained?
So both things are correct. Okay, everyone will have to be retrained.
Okay.
Because your toolbox is changing, the way our world is changing. But this definitely doesn't mean that we will all get unemployed.
Okay.
Okay. The way you teach children in K-12, sure, it's going to change. The way you cure diseases, yeah, it's going to change. The way you practice law or you plan your pension, yeah, that's going to change for sure. But I don't think that machines are going to ever replace us, and that's kind of the thing.
Fascinating. So are there any specific groundbreaking AI applications that have specifically been already developed here in Israel?
So Israel has, I think, 2-3 very strong pillars of what you call applied AI. Naturally, cyber, of course. Yeah, cyber is a classic place for AI. Tons of data. People cannot review it themselves, and machines are doing a wonderful job. And there is a strong cyber industry in Israel. So the dots connect. That's easy. All issues of healthcare and pharma. Tons of amazing startups coming in Israel. Medical imaging, pathology identification of cancer cells within, under a microscope, preventive health, drug design, tons of amazing things that are being done with AI. So that's a very strong pillar in the Israeli AI industry. The agro-food tech, which I just touched briefly, again, a very strong pillar of the Israel industry. I think those will be and there is the classic, fintech, of course, again, risk, fraud, and so on and so forth.
Now, you mentioned that we have about 9,000 startups here in the country, right?
Right.
And so now we have a lot of startups, and I'm wondering how that translates to AI innovation. As with the highest number, does that then mean we have more AI innovation? Is that kind of going hand in hand?
They go wonderfully together. So out of 9,000 companies, approximately 2,200 do AI,
It's a big percentage.
profoundly.
Okay.
I'm not just saying, we've got this AI agent that we kind of consult with when we develop our product. Something AI is deeply assimilated into our product line. So 22 to 2,400 companies.
Out of the 9,000.
Out of 9,000.
Yeah.
And our goal is, within the program is to see that AI becomes even deeper. Because our philosophy goes that as your IP is more unique, the potential value in it is higher. So that's the kind of thing we are.
Can you differentiate our AI companies from those, let's say, in Europe or Silicon Valley?
So I think there is a different nature. Okay, within Silicon Valley, we've seen several giants doing those, AI foundations, and we don't have as many of those in Israel. Okay. What we see here is a very diversified, very rich ecosystem, very dynamic, and a lot of, I'm repeating myself, cross-disciplinary connections. Maybe I'll give an example, right? Take, my medical device example, right? In order for this to succeed, you probably need a doctor, right? You need a mechanical engineer to make this device work. You'll need an AI expert. You'll need a software developer. Someone needs to write code around this magic. Right. And you need someone that can play the role of CEO to create a concrete business model. So you need 5 different people to meet around a specific problem, right?
And that's what we're good at.
And this is something that we do wonderfully well.
What about our talent? Everyone always talks about the Israeli personality. We're go-getters. There's no wrong, the spirit of no wrong answer, break through the walls. Does the Israeli ingenuity, the Israeli spirit feed any of this at all? Are you finding that we're going to be even better because of our mentality?
I think the thing that we do great is to look for the simple solutions. Okay. And that's kind of them, right? Yes, you can take, 3 top-notch professors to solve a problem. Or you can take just one of them plus 3 other guys that are extremely creative. I think we tend towards the second part. You cannot go without the professors, but you always need, someone that is fast-moving and creative.
For sure. What about government support? We talked a little bit about that. You said government is investing. You talked a little bit about how, certainly through the Israel Innovation Authority. Do you think that usually in Israel, when we talk about private funding, it seems to be that we're usually focused on the foreign funding, the private funding. So how is this balance happening when it comes to AI? Do you have a vision for where that's going to go? Are we going to invest more, less? Think private's going to come in? What does that look like over time?
So, as always, government's goal is to try and, correct the market failures. Okay. If something is working well, we step aside, right? But with AI, and specifically with the infrastructure of AI, it will probably not happen without assistance.
Meaning it won't happen without government assistance.
Without government assistance. So we talked a little bit about talent. There's the issue of data. Data is the fuel for AI.
Right.
But data comes with tons of, issues. What about privacy? What about bias? What about, IP? Who owns this data, right? So the government needs to come in and make this data actually available for research. Right?
Are we close to being able to do that, or is the bureaucracy? It's a very bureaucratic country. I mean, I hate to say it, but we're very difficult. Sometimes a lot of red tape here in this country. So are people getting access to the data they need?
So first off, I would like to say, I've got my own criticism of, the things that we could do better.
I'm not trying to criticize. I'm just putting it out there.
But I'm saying that when it comes to data, there is a lot of bureaucracy coming in all countries.
I'm sure.
Okay, privacy is a thing, right? Discrimination, potential discrimination is a thing, and the regulators must, make sure that we all get equal choices and equal opportunities, and that no one uses our data for doing wrong things, right? So there is a good reason for the bureaucracy, and I think that in Israel, it's easier than in other places around the world. Like we meet in the OECD, we meet the European Union, I think that Israel has struck a good balance between trying to protect citizens from the potential misuse of AI and the really strong desire to push forward this data to make it work, to make it do useful things.
So if I was a private investor, why would I choose Israel?
First and foremost, because of the diversity of the local ecosystem. Second, the talent. Again, talent.
One professor, lots of creative guys around him.
And the ability to connect and all the things that we have just mentioned. Plus, we should not be shy about it. This is one of the strongest hubs for AI around the world. It's ranked 4th in investment globally, 4th in the number of companies, AI companies created in the last 5 or 10 years. It's ranked 3rd in the number of generative AI companies created. So we really have plenty of things to be proud of, I think.
Amazing. But, AI, though, has also come with a set of questions. There's ethical questions that come when it comes to artificial intelligence, not just around data and privacy, but really around the use of AI in everybody's fields. Talk a little bit about that. I mean, is there a potential for this to go wrong?
Of course, there is a potential for this to go wrong, and we see it every day, right? We see deepfakes being used either to hurt individuals or as a political tool. We see it, in the last U.S. presidential election campaign. Right. We've seen it, right? We see AI being used to automate and scale up cyber attacks, large-scale cyber attacks that previously required, very few experts that could do this attack. Now you can do it at scale. There is a lot of fear from AI that's going to be used to design resilient bacteria and toxins and so on. So there is plenty of fear. Okay, but on the other hand, there is so much potential for doing good. Right? There's simply not enough doctors and medical staff around the world. And we see such amazing things coming up with AI. There is simply not enough electricity around the world. And tons of the electricity that we create is actually wasted. And AI is here to help us, resolve the climate problems of the world. There's the issue of loneliness at the older age, right?
Of course.
And we see even a wonderful Israeli company designing digital companion for the elderly.
Wow.
So there is so much potential. Now the question is, okay, will this technology eventually be used for the good, or will it be used for kind of destroying all civilization, right?
Well, what is Israel doing to ensure that it is used for the good? How do we make sure that AI is used responsibly here in this country?
Hold on, I'm going back to the previous question.
Please, go back.
So my take is that technology is always neutral, right?
Okay.
When Dolly was ship Dolly, right, when it was cloned, right? People were extremely afraid, right, that I don't know, now it's going to be the end of all humanity. When the internet came in, right, and then it came to our cell phones, as parents, we were extremely afraid that our children are not going to be exposed to all those dreadful things that happen.
Well, and they are.
But then, as a collective, we learned what to do with it, right?
Right.
So I think choice is always ours as societies, as individuals. And I think we typically choose the right way.
Okay. So now what are we doing here in this country
to help
us
what we're
do
doing
that?
as a government, so we try to strike a balance between innovation and what we call responsible AI.
Okay.
And our decision is to go with general guidelines that are pretty much accepted by all Western countries. We should do risk-based approach, make sure that risks, kind of being addressed sufficiently well. We should put the people at the center of the decision. We should strive not to create any, discrimination based on wrong data, or we should keep people in the loop, and so on and so forth. Those are all very common and easily understood principles. And our decision is to let what we call the sectoral regulators take the decision.
What does that mean?
So basically, if you apply AI in transportation or in healthcare or in education...
Oh, so you let the leaders in those industries help to chart
not in the industries, but in the government.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
The relevant regulators, right? If you want to...
So healthcare, Ministry of Health.
Right.
Okay.
Because if you want to weight risk against benefit, you probably need this domain expertise to make sure, okay, what's feasible, what's desired, what's considered to be, unacceptable risk versus something we can live with. And there are very fine, balances to find here. And therefore, our decision as a country is to say, guys, look, we take it step by step. We really trust the expertise of the relevant regulators and we provide them with the tools. Because typically, the Ministry of Health or the Ministry of Education, they know a lot of their domain, but they know nothing about AI, right? So we created a central entity within the government that provide them with the tips, knowledge, and expertise in the AI. So from within this matching, you'll see the right guardrails being put in place.
And that's your role. That's kind of like the national program. You're overseeing all of this.
So the national program obviously is infrastructure, talent, data, and regulation. Same goes.
Wow. Unbelievably difficult job. I wouldn't want to sit in your shoes today with this AI revolution. What advice can you give to AI startups and investors that are looking at Israel? Do you have some advice you could share?
I think my advice will be, and I think it will be right for startups, whether those are AI startups or not, choose a real problem and choose a hard problem and choose a problem where the solution is unique, right? Don't try to do things that everybody else is trying to do. Choose a hard problem where Israel or yourself have unique assets, and then bring those assets to the floor.
And what about advice for American or European leaders? What can they learn from Israel's AI program?
I think the thing we do best is to move fast and to be agile, right? We don't aim to do the largest infrastructure, the most expensive infrastructure, the most, prestigious program. We move fast and we make mistakes. And then we correct ourselves and we try again. It's kind of, the Israeli way, and it goes to the program in the same way, right?
It's our resilience, which I think we've all been learning over the last 16 months.
Yeah, I hope we could have a little bit of, relaxation on that, but yes.
100%. Well, Ziv Katzir, thank you so much for joining today.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.